Welcome to this exercise for diffusion. This is an ACT therapy technique that you can carry with you to be able to work to diffuse or disentangle with unhelpful thoughts and stories that we repeat to ourselves all day long. The first step in being able to diffuse the power of our mind and move towards the greatest person that we want to be is first in the awareness and the observation of what it is that we say to ourselves. Now, often we're taught to reframe a negative or unhelpful story or thought into something more positive. And I don't believe that this works, because what happens is you end up spending more time entangling with your thoughts. Whereas what I want you to be doing is connecting wholeheartedly, hooked in fully into the present moment, which is where all of the joy, all of the contentment, all of the wisdom, and most importantly, all of the opportunities to become and behave like the best version of ourselves, they live in the present moment. So when you notice your mind moving out into the future, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet, making unhelpful judgments on yourself and others that leave you not feeling good, moving back into the past and replaying scenarios over and over again, with your mind not understanding the concept of time, what you're doing is actually creating a lot of unnecessary stress, unnecessary drama, and internal pain and suffering that doesn't need to be there. So with diffusion, the aim of the game, and we are to treat this like a game and to keep it humorous, is to be able to create space from what it is that we feel. So let's get started. The first thing that you need to do is notice a thought when it shows up. You need to be able to name that story. After you have named the story, for example, if I call myself fat, ugly, or otherwise, or I make an unhelpful judgment on myself, once I have named the story, I can call it something like, that's my ugly duckling story, that's my I'm a bad mother story. And you'll notice that there is a feeling, sensation, urge, or desire that comes with that. So the urge can sometimes be to suppress it. The urge could sometimes be to punish yourself in a certain way or react in a way that we're not proud of. But there is always an emotional sensation or a feeling somewhere in the body, and it could be butterflies in the stomach, a sinking feeling, clenching fists, sweaty palms. There is something that always comes along with that thought. And this is where we have to understand that we are creating unnecessary struggle and drama for ourselves. So once you've named the story and you know what they are, we'll get started on working with it. So I'd like you to replay to yourself an unhelpful story that you feel and experience. An unhelpful story that you repeat to yourself many times. And I'd like you to hold that story, and I'd like you to repeat it to yourself a few times. I'd like you to hear it. It can be in your voice or somebody else's voice. Sometimes we hear what others say to us or have said to us. Take the time to hear it. And more importantly, take the time to notice how it is that you feel. So as you take the time to notice how it is that you feel, I'd like you to first work with the story. As you name the story, I'd also like you to thank your mind for giving you that story. All you need to say is, I thank you for this story. Thank you, mind, that's a really interesting story that you're telling me. Now remember, we're not trying to make the story different. We're not trying to control it. We're not trying to make it go away, because we will never succeed in doing that. Instead, what we do is we create just a small amount of distance. By calling a thought, by calling a story an interesting story, it doesn't make it right or wrong, good or bad, true, not true, wise, not wise. We're calling it for what it is. Words strung together inside my head that I repeat many times. Those are interesting words that I'm repeating to myself. That's an interesting story that my mind is telling me. As soon as we do that, we create a little bit of distance, because you realize that you, as the observer, you are not your thoughts, and you are not that story. It only becomes real if you make it mean something different to what it actually is, which is just words that do not have power over you unless you choose to give them your attention. So just in the way that we would work with a small child who is nagging and whinging and nagging and whinging and throwing a tantrum, we have the choice to engage with that child or to watch and observe until the child is calm. And we work with ourselves in the same way. Name the story. There's my ugly duckling story. Thank your mind for telling you an interesting story. And choose, exercise the right to choose to not give it your full attention. As the emotion comes up behind that story, I want you to take a huge breath down deep into your belly. So as you breathe really deeply into the sensations in the body, you're going to exercise the right to allow them to be there. I want you to continue breathing as deeply as you can into your belly, connecting fully with the sound and the rhythm of your own breath. Now you can stay with your breath as long as you need to continue to expand into and allow what it is that you feel, in the same way that if a child was upset, we allow them with compassion and guide them through that process, knowing that the wave will be over soon. And you're doing the same thing for yourself. You're approaching yourself like a child that is deserving of love, allowing, patience, and compassion. And you are doing this through expanding into what you feel with your breath. So continuing to breathe. Continuing to allow. Continuing to observe any thoughts or stories that show up. And as they do, name them, allow them to be there, and choose to engage with your breath, the sound and the feeling of softness and surrender. As you breathe in, you make room and space. And as you exhale, you release and you surrender. Now imagine that you're holding yourself as kindly as possible. Listen to the breath like it's the wave of the ocean coming in and out of the body. And start to become sharply present with feeling the body. You'll start to connect to the hands and the feet, connect to the sounds around you, and dive into that experience of sitting in your body, holding it kindly, just aware of where you are in this moment. As you observe the moment, the observant mind will come forward, and the thinking mind, the judging mind, moves back. Start to observe what's actually happening in the moment, where you are, who you are, and what you have available to you right now. Start to connect with what matters with you most today in this moment right now. Connect to the visualization of the greatest version of yourself and what he or she would do in this moment. Keep the breath going, keep the softness, keep the surrender, keep the connection. See yourself behaving in the way that would most make you proud. In every single moment, we're choosing fear or love. You always have the choice to choose love. Choosing love means I show up as the greatest version of myself. Choose one action that you can do right now to be able to step into that person. You can do this all with your eyes open or closed. You can do this all in less than 10 seconds. The mind loves habits, and this will become a new habit. So with your eyes open, make a choice in the next few minutes to behave, to become the person that you want to be. So what we've just done is observe to thought. We've chosen to name it and disentangle from it. We've chosen compassion through breath and expansion and accepting and allowing what it is we are experiencing to move, losing the need to control and avoid it. We've chosen to step into the moment and see what is actually available to us right now in the moment. We've chosen to lean into what the greatest version of ourselves could look like and take one step towards that. Every time a disempowering story shows up, you have the choice to empower yourself through those easy steps. So carry this with you until it becomes a new habit. Drop your comments and questions below if you have any questions about how to make this real in your own life, or if there's anything that I can clarify for you. Have a great day.